Ooh, that was hurt my stomach. That's the same thing. Okay. God, some angles are rough. Okay. Ooh, okay, we good. Okay. All right, everyone. Welcome. Uh-oh, what happened? What happened? Okay. Is everything okay now? Okay. All right. So let's break this down. Okay. So hold on, I have a whole bunch of my notes. You can tell I was a professor. Okay. So when I talk about course creation, there's a couple of things that I always stress, and that is community. You know, people are willing to pay top dollar to be part of a community that they feel is going to elevate them, their business, their lifestyle. So think about like very exclusive country clubs. I know they're not as popular as they used to be, but you wanted to be part of a certain country club because you wanted to have that cachet, you wanted to have that elitism and everything like that. So when you are selling your course, you also have to make provisions. You also have to make provisions for community. And you have to really think about how you're going to do community. So I always say live coaching twice a month. Go live twice a week if you can. I go live twice a week because I built it into my community that if you want to reach me and you have like a lot of questions, I say, let's just go live. And a lot of times people will say, sure, of course. And then sometimes they're like, you know what? I don't want to share my business ideas with anyone, so I don't want to go live. That's fine. They have the option. So they can either go live with me or they can do one-on-one coaching, or then they can do a group call. We do a group Zoom. So for community, you go online with me, you go live with me, one-on-one calls, or Zoom. And I'm not always available for everyone because I have a 9 to 5 job, like a jive turkey. So there's that. So you always have to think when you are creating your course, well, how are you going to support the community? So it is a myth that you don't have to have a community. It is a myth that you can just sell it and forget it. No. And like a lot of times people get sold that whole idea of like the 4-hour work week or, what have you. And then you see those people online nonstop. Like there's one creator who sells digital courses. She is on 24/7 because without the community, she can't sell. So she's selling the idea of a 4-hour work week by going live, like I would say 8 hours a day. That's how important community is, because you want people who feel heard, and people who feel heard and valued are you going to be like your biggest and your best salespeople. So that myth of set it and forget it, nope, that's a 90s infomercial. You need another myth is you need to be a tech expert in order to create your online course. That's just not right. That's just not true. So, it's no secret that, I have been financially providing for myself since I was 20. And I didn't have the money that a lot of my friends and my peers and, my competitors did. I just didn't have the money for ads. I didn't have the money for anything. All I really had the money for was a phone. And I didn't get an iPhone till I was like 35-ish or something, so yesterday. But I didn't get a fancy phone. I didn't have a lot of fancy things. So what I did have was an iPhone. So I used the camera, I used the microphone, I, downloaded apps. And if you saw my video yesterday, the apps that I use the most are Zoom, hands down Zoom. I need to do my live coaching. I need to do my group calls. And then an offshoot of Zoom is Loom, where you can show people how to do things. But, that's something extra. But Zoom is a must. And then you have to have Canva, because Canva helps you with your marketing materials. It helps you break up. Like there's too much text. So each module, I recommend between 6 to 8 modules. 9 is pushing it. 10, anything over 10, no. So you need to break it up. What is the other thing? Oh my God, why am I blanking? So it was Zoom and it was Canva. What's the other one? Do you guys remember? Oh my God, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank right now. So it's Zoom, it's Canva. And then a hosting platform. So I like Udemy. And a lot of people will tell you on this app, Udemy is trash. They hate it. It's terrible, what have you. But the thing is, I don't think competition is a bad thing at all. I think competition is great. I mean, as long as you're willing to play the game. But I feel like when it's a super crowded marketplace, that means that a lot of the courses have been written by ChatGPT. And if a lot of the classes have been written by ChatGPT, there's no human element that sells. There's no sense of community, because if you've written a course on ChatGPT, then you're basically just doing a cash grab. So you're not going to invest in a community. You don't know the niche inside and out. That's my ice maker. There are so many opportunities in a super crowded marketplace. And yes, there is that idea of, well, Udemy, you really only stand out if you have a cheap course. I mean, that's with anything. So, you kind of have to play the game and kind of see what the competition's doing. And I've bought some courses on Udemy that were great, but I also thought some of them were just disgustingly awful. I took a UX class that was really great. And then I did a few course creation classes just to see what other people were doing. And I was like, these people have obviously never worked with adults, like in a academic or corporate setting. And what's it called? They've never worked with adults in academic or corporate settings. So some of this, they were just doing so much cognitive overload. So those are really the only 3 apps that you need. Again, Zoom, Canva, and a hosting platform. I like Udemy, Teachable, Thinkific, Kajabi. Those are all great too. I happen to not like anything other than Udemy, but everyone has a different preference, So another myth to bust is online course creation is very time consuming. So I've been doing this for 25 years. And so like I say, I don't have a one size fits all approach, but I do have formulas. And the formulas are just things that I've created over the years, just because, when you're really creating a course, you get really into the information, you really need something that's going to help you stay on track, because you can go down rabbit holes of information and everything is so interesting. But there's a difference between interesting information and valuable information. And my formulas kind of keep me on track, like my general specific recap application. So there's a lot of things that I use because I mean, some of the topics I get are so interesting. But so I have my formulas and I have a sheet. So when you call me, I have my intake sheet. And on my intake sheet are a couple of questions, and then we set up your course. I have never had someone go over 20 minutes when we do this intake form. And I keep it very tight. So when you want to talk or you want to elaborate, I'll say, let's save that for when we get this done in the nicest possible way, because your information is gold. But it takes me 25 minutes to get 35% of your course done, because I'll know what your intent is, your motivations, your secret sauce, and then we put the modules together. And while we are going through the modules, I'll ask you questions, and it's the questions that help me build. So it only takes 20 minutes to get 35% of your online course done. The next myth: you may believe that there is no interest in your course or your niche won't care. And I'll tell you right now, they probably don't, because you haven't asked them. So the way that you get someone interested in you is asking them questions about themselves, right? So imagine you are going to a party and you run into someone and all they want to do is yip yap about themselves. They're flapping their gums about their hobbies or interests or their pandemic experience or whatever. And you're sitting there and you're like, well, I have interests too. And like the number one mistake that I see a lot of course creators make is they are trying so hard to come across as experts that they don't connect with their niche. And if you connect with your niche, the course will sell itself every time. If you can speak their language, if you know their hopes, their dreams, their pain points, their kind of secret language. It reminds me when I was a teacher and I was talking to another teacher and I turned to someone next to me. I said, "Do you mind if we just talk in our language?" And he was like, "Oh, interesting. I want to see what teacher talk is." So we were talking about being 3100s. We were talking about, different things that unless you had been a teacher, you wouldn't understand. So it does take a little while to really get to know your niche inside and out so that, your course will sell itself, but it's worth it. I mean, what are you going to do? Spend $2,000 on some sort of expert when you could do the research yourself? I mean, I do the research for most of my clients because I do the research because I know how to do social listening. And then I always look for gaps. And like the gaps are something that I'm trained to see because yes, I was a teacher, but I was also in marketing for 12 years. And it's just an instinct that you have where the gaps are. So far we've covered the myth of you need to be a tech expert. You just need those 3 apps: Zoom, Canva, and a hosting platform. Your phone has plenty of doohickeys like cams and microphones and all that good stuff. Like maybe you need a ring light. My ring light is huge. But there you go. And then that course creation takes forever. When you get on a call with me for the intake, takes 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, I will have 35% of your course done. And if you have the myth of no audience interest, talk to your niche, talk to them, reach out to them, ask them questions. You can type in, let's say that you want to write a course on nutrition for women in their 40s who are on Ozempic. And I'll tell you that course would sell out. And I talk about it every live because I'm hoping to manifest it. I'm not on Ozempic, but there's nutritionists out there that are not tapping into that market. So by asking questions, you will get answers. It's as simple as that. You can go on different platforms and post in the communities. There's big communities here. If you feel like there's no interest, it's because you're not asking questions. People love to talk about themselves and what they're interested in, and people love to be experts. And sometimes your course topic might be their special interest. So of course they're going to be excited and have, interest in it. So take a survey, ask questions, post. You can even create your own community on different platforms. So there's also this myth that online courses aren't profitable. And I will tell you this right now. There is probably never going to be a point in time where you can tap into an opportunity like you can right now with online courses because college no longer has the cachet that it once did. So like when I was in college, oh my God, like if you didn't go to college, you were going to be flipping burgers. It was either college graduate or a burger flipper. And now people have woken up and they're like, well, there's other ways to learn. And a lot of people are learning through online courses. And that is really, now is really the time to jump in. Like I have a client right now and they are creating their own niche. Like the way that they're going to revolutionize their industry is like so amazing to watch. But, course creation is going to be worth $1 billion in a few years. I think it's by 2032 or 2025. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's going to be $1 billion industry. Course creation is going to be $1 billion industry. College doesn't have the same cachet. People are hungry for knowledge. People want good courses. And I always say this, it can be in a crowded room, but there's always room for one more person at the top. So one more person who provides value. I think it was Kennedy who says there's always room for one more good one. Like if there's 100 courses on, nutrition, but you have something that has never been seen before and something that is so incredibly valuable, there's always going to be room for you. There will always, always be room for you. Here's another myth, and it goes against my whole thing of no cognitive overload. You don't have to cover everything in one course. That would be ridiculous. So if you think of it this way, people can only learn so much. I'm afraid my dog Frank is going to lose his next fight. Any tips? You fight your dog? You have like a pit bull that you fight? Is that right, Sloppy Mike? What a weirdo. I'm sorry that I interrupted the live with that. So you can, there's a filter on the comments. Okay. So you don't have to cover everything in one course. You can have a one-on-one, you can have multiple courses, and then you can create a bundle. That's like the great way. If you have a lot of course ideas, just pick one for one course, one niche, one message, just one topic. And then you can bundle it. And I always say, don't discount your work, like charge what you're worth. But, having like a bundle is the way to kind of get around it. Okay. Sorry, guys, I had to block the person who's talking about dog fighting. Like, people are odd on the lives. Okay. Cover everything, create a bundle. Okay. So that's the way that you get around, not doing discounts, because I did a course for a massage therapist, and she said she doesn't give discounts, but she gives extra time. So instead of saying 25% off a 60-minute massage, she goes, get a 90-minute massage for 60 at the price of 60 minutes. So that's kind of how you get around the discount, is you create a bundle. Another thing that really overwhelms people is online like the actual creating and writing the course itself. I will tell you right now, I've been doing this for 25 years. It's always hard. It's all the I every single time I sit down to write a course, I'm like, oh my God, can I do it this time? Like, it is very overwhelming to write a course. That's not a myth, but it is very, very, very overwhelming to write a course. So that's why you have experts. You outsource it. Like most of my clients are small business owners slash coaches. They don't have the time they have businesses. They have to connect with their clients. Like they have to have their communities. So they outsource it. So I would say you don't have to do it by yourself. That's a myth, but you do have to outsource it to experts. And by experts, I don't mean ChatGPT. Like you can't sit there and say, create a course for me, and then have chat do it for you, because what winds up happening is it's, if you are not trained in AI, you think it's the greatest thing ever. But if you're an actual writer and like course creator, you can hear the tinness, like the tinniness of the ChatGPT. Like the AI, it has this, it's like certain things have certain smells, has a certain sound to it, and it sounds like tin cans rolling around in a back alley during a hurricane. Like I experienced Hurricane Andrew when I was 14, and it was I remember the cans in the alleyway, and it was crazy. Um, but um, but that's what ChatGPT sounds like. And the reason why people don't like ChatGPT is because there's no human element. There's no human connection. The words don't connect emotionally. They're just, it's just basically nonsense. It's well put together nonsense, but it's nonsense. It doesn't have the heartbeat. Like ChatGPT does not. AI generated content does not have the heartbeat. And people connect emotionally, not logically. So there's that. Um, hold on. Another myth is your course has to be long to be valuable. Like some people are like, well, I can't charge people between $200 and $300. This is information that I already know. And the thing is, yes, that's information that you already know. When someone is taking your course, they're a newbie or whatever level, they don't know what you know. So when you are like, well, I got to give them stuff that I feel is like, they need to know this. You are giving them interesting information. You're not giving them valuable information, because the goal is transformation. The goal is not to be like, and I keep on saying this, mistake that a lot of course creators make is they want to establish themselves as experts. You want to establish others, the people who are taking your course, as experts. So when you take that pressure off yourself, you become more nurturing. You want to connect more. You want to give information that's super valuable. You kind of want to mentor instead of talking at someone. You want to mentor rather than talking at someone. So that's why it's so important for you to be cognizant of cognitive overload, because what happens is you will overwhelm your learners and they will turn against you. I've seen it happen so many times. So you always promise a transformation, and you have to make sure that you can deliver on that transformation. I think I've told the story several times. There was someone during the pandemic that promised that people could be a social media manager within like 60 days or what have you. And you can learn a lot, but I don't think you can say that you're a social media manager in 60 days. And so this person basically ruined their reputation because they promised a transformation that no one in their right mind could deliver on. She had even added 30 days, be a social media manager in 90 days. Like that would have been believable. That would have been okay. But 60, no. People can only learn at a certain level. Like you may think, well, if they're really motivated, they'll take this course and they'll run with it. No. People need to learn at a pace that they're comfortable in, and like I remember when I was in school and like math always killed me. I'm good with money, but math always killed me. And I remember sometimes having to take a nap after math class because it was so much. And we moved around a lot. So I didn't have like the foundation of math. So people can only learn at the level that they're at, even if they're super motivated. You know, you can only walk so many steps in a day. You can only swim so many laps in your building's pool. Like there's only so much you can do. And that whole nonsense of you have the same 24 hours that Beyonce does. No, Beyonce has a full-time staff. I'm sure like 25 nannies or something like that. So, you know, people can only do what they can do, you know, so you can't like overwhelm them with information. You just have to focus on what's valuable, focus on a transformation that you can deliver at, and have some fun. Um, and then you need here's another myth that you need a huge following to be a successful course creator. That's not true. Not true in the slightest. If you have 1,000 people, that's great. But there's no guarantee that 1,000 people are going to buy your course, are going to buy your product, buy your service. If you have 10 people who are in your community and you guys talk, you text, you like post a question of the day in the community, you have all of that yumminess, they're going to buy. I would much rather have 10 people who are going to buy than 1,000 who are just going to, you know, blow smoke. You know, you have to really think about your community. That's why community is so important. Your community will buy from you. Your community will advocate for you. Your community do a lot for you. But in return, you have to nurture that community. So you don't have to have a huge following to be successful. You do have to have an engaged community, however. So when some of my views, some of them are great, don't get me wrong, but you know, I've hit some great views, and the video that got me the most business, I think I had 10 views on it, but I got the most business from that video. So I always say focus on engagement rather than, you know, because I'm in marketing. Well, I was for 12 years. I understand how you can play the numbers to back up anything. Like a lot of marketing is just manipulation. And you can just throw the numbers at the person. They could be like, well, you know, oh, 25,000 people opened my email. Yeah, but how many converted? You know, vanity metrics are great, but they don't, you know, focus on sales. Um, you have to be an expert in the whole process, and that's a myth because you just need to be an expert in one step in the process. So like there's people who write, there's people who edit, there's people who publish, you know, there's people who market, and as long as you're an expert in one step of a process, you can have a course. So, you know, let's say that you are really great at editing emails. That's great. Someone will buy a course on how to edit emails. Someone will buy a course on how to market emails, how to write emails, how to, you know, whatever. People don't realize that if you can take one step in the process and become an expert in it, there you go. Like you'll have an engaged following. It's kind of like when you see makeup artists and maybe they do a great red lip. Maybe their focus is on a smoky eye. Um, they have perfected one step in the process. You just need to be one step ahead. Like there are a lot of people who, I mean, in my life, I've known several people who have had horrific acne. And so they have acne scars from when they're teenagers. I had a friend whose acne returned when she got pregnant. Um, and they wanted to have flawless foundation. So of course it's like how to have flawless foundation when acne kicks back in or adult acne or whatever. That is one part of doing the makeup for your face. But in that one step, you're an expert can really transform someone's life because I luckily never had acne. But people who have had acne, like I've seen it within my own friend group, their confidence plunges because, they can't go out into the world. And then maybe they take Accutane and then their lips are all blistered. So it's life. Become an expert in one step in the process and you'll always have an engaged following. Here is a myth. Do you need to constantly update your course? And I will say this, and take it or leave it. You don't need to do as many updates as you think unless you're in marketing. In digital marketing, there's always something going on in digital marketing, but I mean like always. So unless your course is in digital marketing, you don't have to do updates unless something kind of wonderful or awful happens. So like, I remember a lot of things had to change quickly during the pandemic. Everything was closed. I mean, I loved it, but everything was closed, social distancing, all of that. So you don't have to do the updates unless something really big happens. The caveat is unless you're in digital marketing. So that is one thing to consider. So you don't need constant updates, but use your updates sparingly and make them very meaningful. So again, like the pandemic, almost every industry had to pivot during the pandemic. But most of the time, it's okay. You can kind of manage. And then if you really want to, let's say that you wrote a course in like 2019 and there's been so many updates and everything like that, you can update your course like today, or we can update it together. So there's that. And that's all I have. So we're going to go through it again very quickly. So you need to be, myth number 1, you need to be a tech expert. All you need is just your iPhone. That's it. But in like the bigger scheme of things, you need Zoom, you need Canva, and you need a hosting platform, because you need something. A hosting platform is going to manage the money, because like my developer that I've had for forever told me this, that it's unless you have 24/7 security on your website and you have a dedicated tech person, like getting people to pay for your courses on your website can actually invite hackers. So we don't want that. So Canva helps break up like your courses, your information, and you can have some really cool design and you can add some personality to your course. So that's, and Zoom, because you need to have your community. You need to have one-on-one coaching. You need to have twice monthly group sessions. They say one-on-one group sessions. And then sometimes, you just want to hang out and get questions and do market research. But I venture to say that you can do that here too. So I always say what you sell is transformation, and you also sell community. So I go live twice a week. I go live Wednesdays and I go Saturdays. I go live Saturdays. So people know where to find me. I'm building that community. I have that community. So as long as you have something that you can connect with your community, your clients, so you can have the Zoom. You can have Zoom, or you can have TikTok or YouTube or what have you, but you do need some way to connect. So those are the must-have. So you don't need to be a tech expert. You just do need to have those little pieces of technology. The next myth is that creating a course is time-consuming. I have gotten to the point where I have a formula, not a one-size-fits-all approach, but a formula that I can get 35% of your course done in 20 minutes. And it's because I've been doing this for 25 years. So the creating a course from scratch is like nothing to me, because I've been doing it for so long. So I know what to look for. I know which questions to ask. I know how to design. When your intake form will have 6 modules. I recommend 6 to 9, never 10, because it gets too overwhelming for the learner. But, it's 20 minutes. Think of what you do in 20 minutes. You probably clean your bathroom in 20 minutes. You probably WALK your dog in 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, 35% of your course will be done, because my intake form is so specific and so to the point, and it's been proven time and time again. Third myth is no audience interest. That's because you don't know the niche. If you can't tell me what your niche is interested in, or you can't tell me what your niche is talking about today, then of course there's not going to be any interest, because you're basically trying to do a cash grab. You're trying to say, well, these people have money. I want money. I'm going to go and I'm going to try to sell them something. No, you have to know that that niche inside and out. So like you could have a text message with them. I always say that you could wear their underwear, but that's like a Miami expression. But if there's no interest, it's because you don't know how to talk to your niche. You don't know what their pain points are. You don't know what their aspirations are. You don't know your niche at all if you feel like there's no interest. There you go. The fourth myth is online courses aren't profitable. They're headed towards $1 billion. College does not have the same cachet as it once did. Like, they used to say if you didn't go to college, you were going to be a burger flipper. And now we know that's not true. I mean, it's not true at all. You can have people who, the most successful person I know, she just did 2 years of her AA. She's wildly successful, and she did it on her own. She realized she wanted to launch products. So what she did is she sat down and she went through everything. And that's how she got her expertise. So there's probably never going to be a time like there is now to jump in on an opportunity with online courses. It's going to be $1 billion industry. Billion. So there's that. Fifth myth is you have to cover everything in a course. No. Actually, we can probably take off the other myth. You have to cover everything. Oh, no, keep. You have to cover everything. You don't. You can create bundles. You can have course 101, course 102, course 200, like they did in high school or college. You don't have to cover everything, because there's something called cognitive overload. And if you overload a learner with information, they are going to hate you. Think about all the teachers you hated in high school and college. Like, you wanted to TP their house on Halloween because they were like pushing you too hard and you just didn't have it. Your brain wasn't fully developed yet. So you meet your learners where they're at. You don't overload them. And then you deliver on a transformation in the first course. And then on the second course, you deliver another transformation, all based on valuable information. So you're not focused on a wealth of information. You're focused on valuable information. So you're being very, very picky. So when I'm designing courses, each module has a specific central idea that nothing else happens in the module, but a focus on that. So you can focus on that and then create bundles. And that's great. The next myth, number 6, is you have to do it solo. A lot of my clients need to focus on their own clients, their own communities, their own ecosystem. And they don't have time for this. They will spend 20 minutes. I get 35% of their course done. And then they go back to their lives because they know to outsource to experts. So you know that expression, you have to spend money to make money. You can outsource. Like, you have to outsource to grow. And I do that. I have a lawyer, I have a VA, and I have an editor, because my editor is an expert. She can do things like I can perfectly edit something, and then she will catch, like, you know what? I think it sounds better this way. Or let's use a semicolon, or let's take out that comment. And it's like genius. And I pay her retainer fee because The peace of mind I get lets me work. So in order to make money, you have to spend money. So you don't have to do it by yourself, but you do need to outsource to experts. And by outsourcing to experts, that does not mean ChatGPT. And then what else? That number 7, that your course has to be long to be valuable. No, your course has to be, hi, Brenna. Your course has to be valuable to be valuable. The information in your course, thank you. The information in your course needs to deliver on a transformation that you've promised. And you promise that information, you promise that transformation through valuable information. So think of a friend that you have that always tells these long-winded stories that they could probably get done in 3 sentences. That's how your course has to be. You have to be the most charming person in the party that tells the shortest stories, get to the point, and promise a transformation. That's it. You have to have myth number 8, that you have to have a large following to be a successful course creator. No. I have a video that got 1,000 views, didn't get much business from it. I have a video that has 10 views. I mean, that's the video that gave me the most business, because I was very directed toward my niche, and I asked a question that only they would understand what I meant. So focused on an engaged following rather than a large one, and you'll do super well. Myth number 9, you have to be an expert in the whole process. And I tell people this all the time. You can be an expert in this. 83 like. You can be an expert in one step of the process, and you will always have a sold out course. You have to understand that even being one step ahead is something that a lot of people want. A lot of people want to be one step ahead. Think about, like when I lived in my, crappy little efficiency. I wanted to be in a nice apartment that had a gym, a pool, things like that. And that was one step ahead for me, is being in a nice place. So people will pay to be one step ahead. Don't feel like you have to know the whole process inside and out. You don't. Unless you're doing a certification class, which is a different conversation. But you just need to be an expert in one step in the process. And then if you're an expert in the whole process, even better. But one step can get your foot in the door, can get you an engaged following. And the 10th myth is that you need constant updates to your course. You do not need constant updates to your course. If something catastrophic happens, like another pandemic, what have you, then yes, you need an update, unless you're in digital marketing. And then you could rewrite the course every 3 months, every month practically. But you do not need constant updates, but you do need to update your course every once in a while. So if you've written your course in like 2019, then it's okay to do an update, because a lot of things have changed. Like, I don't even know if what was happening in 2019? Were people still using Vine and Periscope? Vine, Periscope, Threads, Treehouse. Was Treehouse there? Yeah, so there's a lot of apps that have come and gone, and it's like when people talk about, middle school, and then someone would be like, oh, you mean junior high? And it's been so long since someone has said junior high. So things like that stand out. So you never want your course to seem outdated, but you don't need to constantly update. I have a client, we wrote her course I think it was 10 years ago now. And every year we just go back and we say, do we need to do an update? And sometimes it's yes. During the pandemic, we wrote a whole new course because times have changed. But you do need to understand in a lot of ways that the information is more on value, and value does change. So that is something seriously to consider, is the information still valuable? And like with marketing, who was it? Ogilvy, he, things that he said God, like 50, 60 years ago are still relevant, you know? So you have that to consider. So let me know what your questions are. Those are the top 10 myths. Let me know. And then if not, you can always leave a comment on one of my videos for a free course template and I will get back to you. Or you can just email me directly and I will start writing your course for you. Well, I'll start considering your course and then we can get on a phone call and in 20 minutes you'll have 35% of your course done. So there we go. There we go. Thank you for joining me. I'm very, very tired. I've been swimming in my building's pool, so I'm super tired. So let me know, reach out if you have any questions, and I will also be live Saturday at 3 o'clock. Have a good one.